Yo, yo, yiggity yo. Welcome back. Welcome back to Zillennial Support Group podcast with your 97 babies, Marriya and Silvana. We're back. I don't know how long we've been gone. Maybe just 1 week. I think it's fine. Yeah, but took a little sabbatical. I went to Nashville and now I'm back in New York. A little bit of a different filming setup, but if you're listening, none of this matters to you. Anyways, welcome to the podcast where we offer emotional support to everyone born in like the late 90s, early 2000s, as we reminisce on the good old days of our childhood, whether it be nostalgic, traumatic, what have you. Today we were talking about a myriad of things, but mostly we're addressing the iCarly reboot that premiered on Paramount Plus recently. And it's been making some waves on the TikTok, and we're here to give our opinions
on
and
the
thoughts.
TikTok.
On the TikTok, just like
we just aged ourselves.
Yeah, also, yeah, I have many thoughts about that. But first, we're gonna get into some updates. I think we covered all the personal updates with we're back. Anyways, I think Marriya has some updates on our previous episode that we talked about a different reboot, the Powerpuff Girl reboot. So what's been going on since 2 weeks ago, Marriya?
So last time I was like, oh, I've watched probably like 4 episodes of Powerpuff Girls. Now I've watched 111.
How many episodes are there in total?
I don't know. I've watched 5 seasons.
You're deep within the spiral.
Well, like, because they're 10
watching.
minutes. Most of them are 10 minutes.
They're 10 minutes?
Mhm.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I love it. It's a fantastic show. Some of them are super weird.
Have you put your other love, Scooby-Doo, on the shelf and you're just all in it with Powerpuff Girls, or how are you dividing up your love for
That's
these
a great
cartoons?
question. My sister is slowly watching Scooby-Doo with me, so it's still part of me. It always will be a part of me.
Very committed still.
Yeah, it's
Dedicated fan.
just wow. I don't know. Powerpuff Girls is so much fun. There are just some weird episodes though. Like they have to fight broccoli villains by eating them.
Yeah, you texted me the premise of one of their episodes too, and it was like kind of insane and also inappropriate for these kindergarten girls, aged girls, to be doing or fighting.
Yeah.
And they're also very aggressive children.
Yeah, they really beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, violence isn't okay, kids. Don't hit people.
Except if you have power.
Murder is never the answer, you know?
Except when it is. They never really kill anyone though.
Except when it is, yeah.
But like, yeah, there's one episode where the professor, it's really weird. They like only call him the professor, but then everyone else refers to him as like their father. So
I guess father in the more metaphysical sense, I guess, their creator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then there's another part where they're like, they bring a new friend over and they're like, oh, this is the professor. He accidentally made us in his lab.
Yeah.
And then she goes, it's okay, professor. I'm an accident too.
Yeah, that goes around the internet a lot. I love that.
But there's
and like he gets it and the girls don't.
Yeah. But there's just this one episode where the professor is looking at all of the villains and he's like, I can explain all of them except for this one guy, Fuzzy Lumpkins, who is like covered in pink hair, has like, I don't know, antenna? I don't know what he is. And so he decides that he's going to like do like a nature documentary and observe the lumpkins. But then he ends up like falling in mud and falling in Fuzzy's hair, and like there are 2 flowers on his head, and Fuzzy Lumpkins thinks that he's the female version of the species of Funkinette, if you will. And he immediately knocks out the professor and yells to all of his like brothers that he's getting hitched. So there's an issue of consent there.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, you did tell me about this. And it's so confusing.
Yeah. And so then they're like about to have the wedding and the Powerpuff Girls come and save him at like the very last minute, save the professor. And then Fuzzy Lumpkins picks up like the mud that fell off of the professor and said, like, "This is my wife. Please excuse me." And he puts like a do not disturb sign
Oh no.
on the door, and there's a bunch of moaning and him shouting like "boy howdy" multiple times.
Yeah. Oh.
And um
A lot of
then,
grown up references and jokes in these
yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah, and, like, they're, like, flying home, and, like, Bubbles is like, "Wow, a few more minutes," and, um, Fuzzy Lumpkins would have been our new mom, and Bubbles was like, "No, like, Fuzzy would have been our, or no, the professor would have been our mom." And it's just like I've
Oh my
also been trying to
goodness.
work on my Bubbles impression.
Yeah.
Not very good.
Wait, what does Bubbles say?
So she says things like this. It's really bad. She just has such a cute voice, and I know I need to take it up an octave. Here, wait, let me get water first, and
Oh
just
gee, I
rinse
have
the
water
palate.
too. Hold on, we'll be twins. Having a real glass this time.
Whoa.
I retired my mugs mostly because my old roommate would always drink from this cup and keep it in her room. Now I've salvaged it
Here we go.
from I gave it a wash and now it's clean again. Okay, go.
Okay, I need to work on it. I know it's not
It's
good.
a work in progress. We
Yeah,
know
I
we're not giving you a critique here,
I
but we
know I
just
need
want
to
to.
take it up an octave. Okay,
Well, your voice is also quite high already.
I know I sound like Mickey, but okay. So she goes like, "It's not fair. I'm just as tough and strong and mean as Buttercup and Blossom. But they just don't believe me. They'll treat me like a baby. But I'll show them. I'll prove that I can be hardcore."
Oh my god. The way you said hardcore, I'm obsessed. That was pretty good.
Thank
I can tell because I haven't watched the Powerpuff Girls in like decades. But when you started speaking, I'm like, it like recalled that memory in the back
you.
of my head. I'm like, oh yeah, that was how Bubbles spoke. Like she did sort of like have that kind of voice.
She's
Crazy.
so cute. I just love her so much. And it's just like I've never wanted to do an impression before. I'm not an impressionist. I have a good friend who's a very good impressionist.
Yeah. Oh, shout out.
Um and I could never do it. But her voice is just so cute and
Yeah.
she's so innocent. Like there's this one time where she
I
goes,
love it. I love it when a baby voiced girl says hardcore. Like that's
right?
the most punk thing ever.
Well, because there's this one point where she gets milk and there's like a robber in their house and she just completely ignores it and she goes back upstairs and Blossom is like, "Bubbles?" And Bubbles goes, "Yes, Blossom." And she goes, "You okay?" "Yeah, I just need a glass of milk. The nice man taking things from the kitchen helped me get it."
Oh,
"What nice man taking things from the kitchen?" "The nice burglar man."
she's so go with the flow.
Yeah, I love her.
So adaptable to her environment. That's a younger sibling trait to be very adaptable.
So now I'm just more mad at the reboot for making Bubbles a porn star because Bubbles would
Yeah.
never.
So sad. But yeah, TBT. I haven't watched Powerpuff Girls in a really long time, but I feel like
You should.
I should. You're influencing me. You're an influencer now, Marriya. How do you feel?
I need to make up a dance.
Yeah. Oh, one of those TikTok dances. Boo. Ah. I don't know. I don't know what that was. It's fine. Anyways,
Carly, who?
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so today we are discussing iCarly and its reboot. For those of you who didn't watch iCarly, it was an old Nickelodeon show. It ran from 2007 to 2012. And it was 6 seasons long, 97 episodes. And it's sort of, I don't know, I feel like as a child, my most cognizant memories are from like 2007 to like 2011. By 2011, I was like in high school, I was a teenager, but like it was on during my most like mentally aware part of my childhood, whereas like I definitely have a lot of memories from my childhood, but um like 2007 onward, I was like into pop culture, like I knew what was going on. So I felt like that was a very interesting time. And I'm in New York now, but I have a very specific memory of like seeing promo all the time for this new iCarly show because like the internet was a thing suddenly. and TV shows decided to make like a TV show about it. And so and like YouTube had just become like a huge thing in the past year. And I remember I was just like on this random trip to New York with my family for some reason. And I remember being in Times Square, seeing like one of the billboards advertising like this new Nickelodeon show, iCarly. And it was like, first episode premieres on this date. And I just have that very vivid memory. And it's kind of crazy that all these years later, I'm living in New York talking about iCarly.
Are there billboards for the revival now?
I don't go to Times Square anymore. I haven't seen a billboard in ages. But basically the premise of it was sort of like YouTube, but it was like these kids in middle school decided to start this like live comedy web show with like their friends. It was the three of them. It was called iCarly, about this girl, Carly Shay. And she put on the show with her best friend, Sam, who is an entire whole half of the show. They call it iCarly. What a narcissist to name the entire show after her. No, when there are three kids very heavily involved. And she was like, but it's about me. Right. It's totally not how it goes down in the show. But like in hindsight, I'm like, why was it called iCarly?
Where was it set again?
It was set in Seattle.
Yeah. They have just like a huge apartment.
Yeah, it's sort of this weird thing where they're always super vague about her parents, but her dad is like in the military, in a submarine, Air Force, who knows, Japan. I don't know where he is. They don't really know where he is, but she lives with her older brother, Spencer, who is like a very distinct, recognizable actor from Drake and Josh, who Carly, the actress, Miranda Cosgrove. Oh my God. In my notes, I call her Megan at one point. Her name's not Megan.
Not from Drake and Josh.
But they're both from Drake and Josh. And like, this was like, she had like aged, like Drake and Josh, I think, finished, and she had like aged up so that they were like, let's give her, Miranda Cosgrove, her own show. And it was very successful for a Nickelodeon show. But basically, it sort of started out during that like Bo Burnham, Fred era of YouTube, where like people made comedy videos and like skits and stuff, which is also pretty interesting versus like in terms of timing, because Bo Burnham is also back in the public eye again with his new special, very successful, when he started out like in 2007, like on YouTube, 2006, that sort of era. But it was the humor of the show was definitely in the vein of Fred, that old YouTuber Fred, where I think the R was backwards, I don't know, or the E, one of the letters
Fred
was backwards.
Bicklehorn.
Yeah, and he also guest starred on the show at one point.
That's the impression I used to do in middle school.
Yeah,
That's
oh my God. I was known for. But it was definitely very like Nickelodeon humor, random, sort of sarcastic, but like kids' version of sarcasm. And then like a lot of like, not pranks, but they'd like do weird stuff like draw on their toes, and like a lot of food humor where you like throw food at people or like rub whipped cream on your face, like random stuff like that, where it's like it would make little children laugh because it's weird, but it's not actually funny. It's like that kind of humor, which is interesting because they keep the same humor for like the reboot where everything's aged up and we're like, is that funny? But yeah, so basically it was sort of like the late 2000s version of like social media influencers, where like she was internet famous and all the kids at school knew that she did this and like she had a following. But it wasn't so much like there weren't social media apps, like people weren't really widely using iPhones yet, so the internet on your phone wasn't a thing. And so it was basically YouTube, except it was live shows, so no editing. Freddie was a producer, but anyone could have live streamed from their computer. He was very unnecessary. I don't know why he had that like huge camera thing on his shoulder. Like, that's AV Club who? Like, we don't even have those in real high schools anymore. But yeah, there was an episode of the old show where they like sort of touched on sponsorships. I think once social media influencers and like content creators getting paid on the internet became a thing in like 2010 and stuff, where they get like a sneaker sponsorship and then they realize that they actually don't like the product and they shouldn't be selling it to their audience. and they find a loophole to get out of it. So they sort of like begin to touch on the idea of like social media influencers being a job and getting paid, but it's never really her job in the show, I don't think. Ooh, did you hear that honk?
Yeah.
They agree. Well, I can't even remember what I said. But yeah, so basically, I feel like reboots are really popular in today's media, and iCarly, even though it like wasn't a great show, it was popular. It still makes people feel nostalgic. That I feel like with the social media relevance of today, with influencers being so huge now, and then also we just spent a year only communicating with people through social media, and like that's the only way we saw our friends, that I feel like it became a little bit more relevant in today. And also, it's like somewhat of the 10-year anniversary of iCarly. It ended in 2012. So the way they talk about it in the show is they're like, oh, 10 years later, we're going to like restart the show. But it's like 9. So, but basically, other little tidbits about the old show. There was a spinoff with the Sam character who had this show called Sam and Cat, who it was like kind of like a spinoff of the two side characters, Sam from iCarly and then Cat from Victorious, which was the also the other like successful Nickelodeon show. And I feel like Nickelodeon really had this thing going for a while where I hated the main character, super annoying, super unrelatable, but all the side characters were like funny and interesting. So I'd watch it for the side characters. And it was more so Victorious was like that than iCarly, even though I wasn't a fan of Carly and iCarly. I liked Sam more. But yeah, that show crashed and burned. Everybody hated each other. Like Sam quit acting afterwards.
Well, I think there was
So
also Dan Snyder was like
yeah, that was also a big
super
thing with
creep.
Nickelodeon shows, is that Dan Snyder produced them. Very terrible, abusive guy. So the only sort of like person who came out of Nickelodeon who hasn't really talked shit about him was Ariana Grande, who played Kat in Sam and Cat. And it's mostly because she's super successful now. And so I feel like it's like you don't bite the hand that feeds you, you know? Whereas like with the other actors, their careers were basically stalled because of him, or they hated acting because of him. So like they have nothing to be grateful for in terms of something he gave them, because he ruined their lives. Anyways, terrible guy.
Yeah.
Good news, he's not involved with the reboot whatsoever. It's not a Nickelodeon show. So whatever they did with the rights, they're able to reboot the show on Paramount Plus. And like Paramount Plus is like related to Nickelodeon, like they have Nickelodeon shows on there, but it's not a Nickelodeon produced show. So they figured something out. He's not involved, which is good times for all the actors and people who work on that show.
Yay.
But yeah, so they're rebooting the show. They're making an adult version of iCarly, basically. They're aging it up with the audience. So, I mean, I feel like the people who watch the show are like a few years younger or same age as the kids on the show. So they're basically targeting our age, like 20s, late 20s, early 20s, not late 20s, like mid 20s. I think Carly is supposed to be mid 20s. Like I think the character is supposed to be late 20s. Ooh, sorry, misspoke. But it's not totally like, I've only seen the pilot. I don't know the exact numbers.
Well, then that's like weird because Freddie is like her same age and didn't I thought at some point you sent me a clip that was like he's had 2 divorces.
So basically,
like,
where we meet these characters in this reboot, Carly. So basically, I never watched the show's ending. I had aged out of Nickelodeon Disney by the time it ended. So apparently, what happens is that Spencer gives Sam a motorcycle. She rides off into the sunset. Carly goes to live with her dad in Italy, and like have fun there. That's how it ends. I don't know. They stopped the show, but basically,
why did Spencer? I feel like Spencer was just like randomly everyone's guardian.
Right? Like, how is this allowed? Like, her parents were out of the country. Her mom never answered. Totally vague.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, there was that one episode where I think iCarly gets hurt. No, where Carly gets hurt and her grandfather is like
I feel like they have like a father character guest star at one point, or a
Yeah.
grandfather. They do have a
Well, they have the
grandfather.
grandfather come in because
He
they're like,
died.
Spencer is like
Oh,
not,
unfit,
yeah,
but she
he's
wants
not
to
a
stay.
suitable guardian. And then,
I vaguely
um,
remember that. Yeah.
and so he's gonna take her, and then at the very last minute, Spencer like runs down with her inhaler, and she's like,
Mm.
"I haven't had an asthma attack in 5 years," and he's like,
Oh.
"You never know." And then the grandfather is like, "Spencer, you keep this," and Spencer's like, "No, she needs it." And then he's like, "No, she can stay with you."
Aw, cute. I feel like that exact storyline happened with another show where they're like, she forgot her inhaler and she hasn't used it or needed it, but like it's important. But I have no idea.
Note
I
to
don't know.
self: humanized character with inhaler.
Wow, I love my medical condition being used as a plot device. Anyways, but yeah, so where we meet the cast or the characters 10 years later is that after Italy, um, she goes to college. Carly goes to college and does like college radio, but either before or after that, while in Italy, she does like Italian QVC, which is like like the career bottom of like being like a online host is like making she takes those skills and becomes like an Italian QVC host and sell stuff, which is like I feel like the lowest common denominator of like that kind of skill being used as a job. And so uh basically, but now she's come back from Italy. She like got her college degree, did college radio for a little bit, but basically has no job, I think. Has her own apartment, pays
Mhm.
for it, has money.
Huh.
I don't know. But well, here's the thing.
Was she
Where we
in the
meet Spencer
YouTuber
is
creator?
Spencer has suddenly randomly become through total accident become super successful in the art world and his sculptures are like super he has a ton of money. He's doing really well. His loft is renovated, super rich. They talk about it. So maybe he supports her. I don't know.
I
I
forgot he
mean,
was
he's
like an
so
artist.
crazy, but the most stable and financially secure person in the entire show. But
Interesting.
Carly lives down the hall in her own apartment, very modest, regular, uh, good quality apartment. She's not, budgeting by any means, but she does well for herself. Seattle's very expensive. And she lives with her roommate and best friend. I forget her name. I think her
Harper?
name's Harper.
Yeah.
Um, and she tells her little backstory of she like works at Starbucks or like the iCarly version of Starbucks called Skybox.
Oh
And
no.
she works there for 4 years, but she like
Why are
has
there
a
so
dream to
many of
become a
those?
stylist.
They
I
did
don't
like the
know.
pear phones
They do use iPhones now
and
though.
then
They got out of the
interesting.
Nickelodeon stuff. So they
But
use
then
real smartphones.
what is the other one? The Cheesecake Warehouse?
Yeah. And they had like a their own version of like Smoothie King or Reeboks, whatever that smoothie place is, tropical smoothie.
Yeah.
I don't
But I
know.
feel like there was like a thing with kid shows where they would be like, "Oh, follow you on on Snap phone or something or
Oh
Snapbook."
yeah,
And they
I
would just
remember
make
that.
up
They
these
use that in
dumb little
like
things.
Zoe 101 and Victorious, I think,
Yeah.
where they had like their own version of Twitter that they'd post on.
Yeah, where it's like, "Please don't get sued. Please don't get sued."
Yeah, but yeah, Spencer's super rich now. And then Freddie, he had like did a tech startup that failed. Uh he he phrased it as pursued my dream, married for love. I'm divorced twice. And I have no money. I'm living with my mom again. So he's living
He's
with her
not that
mom.
old.
He's living with his mom. Yeah, I think they're all like 28. But basically he still lives with his mom who's still across the hall from Spencer. Everybody still kind of lives in the same building. And he now also has his stepdaughter who is from one of his marriages, not related to him. But what happens often when someone remarries is that the step parent adopts the stepchild. So that happened. So I'm guessing her biological father like isn't in the picture or not listed on her birth certificate. I don't know.
Much
But
like Carly herself.
yeah, not her real father doesn't have custody at first. So he adopts her. They divorce. So now he has the stepdaughter who's like this sassy little like very young Gen Z kid, which I think they do age down. Well, also it's like his daughter, she can't be too old. Because I feel like they are really pushing for Carly as like a millennial. When really she's like not super millennial. Like I feel like most millennials are like in their early 30s, late 30s, whatever.
Is
Late
she a
20s.
Zillennial?
I feel like late 20s is like the youngest millennial. So she's kind of the youngest millennial. They're definitely like calling her old, like she's from like the old social media. She's not super down with what like the kids and the teenagers are doing. So I feel like
So
they're
she's
making
a
that distinction
Zillennial.
that she's not like a hip Gen Z kid, which is I feel like would be, you know, a different thing. But they have his daughter who's like very sassy, snarky, and is like social media savvy. So she's like post like taking videos of all the characters and like posting them to her Instagram and being like, can you like it for like traction? Like this is good content, blah blah blah. They use the word content a lot.
Oh, wow.
But so they're doing like a kind of cheeky thing in terms of that. But so there's the stepdaughter is black and then her best friend is also black. And all of Carly's boyfriends, which spoiler alert, they have dudes like two people she dates in the first episode.
Oh my god.
They are ethnically ambiguous, Southeast Asian, Hispanic.
Diversity.
That's how I coded them. But basically, all these new characters, they're making a point to bring in people of color, which is nice, but also, I mean, people of color shouldn't only be side characters, but it's nice that they did have an all white cast before, you know, in 2007. So now they're definitely saying like, hey, we're not gonna pull that again.
Yeah.
Like we're bringing it up with the times.
Didn't the character who played Harper like get a lot of like death threats?
Really? For
Yeah,
why?
because she's
I did not
black.
hear that at all.
She wanted like everyone apparently just wanted Sam to come back, and they're like, but they got this like other. And I don't know. Everyone just sending her hate and like racist
That's
comments and stuff.
terrible. But like, if you're upset that Sam's not there, like that's fine. But like, you don't have to bring racism into
Yeah,
your
right.
terrible online abuse. Ugh, I hate people. But anyways, so yeah, that brings us to Sam, who is not back, and the actor Sam is doing other things, but she's also in the past 2 years been very vocal about how she really suffered in the past and how acting really hurt her a lot, you know, growing up, and how she went through certain abuses on that show. And she wasn't speaking for anybody else's experience on that show, but Dan Snyder was um, not really kind to her on that show. And then also um, being in a family where her mom, you know, made her do child acting in order to support the family, like that was very traumatic for her. Just being a child star was very traumatic for her and her family dynamic. So she was like, I am retiring from acting. I can't be involved. Love you guys, but I can't do that. And so she sort of addressed in the show of still being in like she rides off in the sunset with a motorcycle, and then she like does Sam and Cat. But basically they keep it up by saying she's just off with her motorcycle gang, like she's just chilling, not here, not available, but like that's it. But yeah, so Sam's not involved, but still in like everybody's good graces. But the actress Jeanette McCurdy, actually, she has a podcast now. She's done a few interviews about like her past experience, but she has a book deal with like Simon and Schuster. So she's having like a book, some sort of book. I don't know if it's like a memoir or like a fiction thing, but she's having like a book come out later. And then she also started this like one woman show, which I don't know if that was pre-COVID, post-COVID, but she's trying to get more into like writing and directing these days, and like does her podcast. So good for her. We love healing from our trauma, because I watched an interview of a podcast she was on like months ago, and I was like, that, yeah, she went through a lot of fucked up shit. Glad she's doing better. But
get her on our podcast.
Yeah.
You're listening. You're one of our 6
I don't think they are.
listeners, Jeanette.
Right? Oh my God. But so some changes they made in the reboot. So they like tricked out Spencer's apartment. They aged up the audience, which means, and also it's not on Nickelodeon, so they curse now. They don't actually curse in the episode that I saw, but clips I've seen like on TikTok and stuff, they're definitely being very like, their humor's gotten a little bit darker. It's still in the same style, but they're definitely like more existential. They curse, they're edgy, or I'm using air quotes. But yeah. And then in terms of like behind the scenes, Miranda Cosgrove is actually an executive producer on the show. So that's nice, has a little bit more control. And I think she has sort of like been able to make sure, you know, certain things that are like the tone of the show, she's a little bit more in charge of. And then also things like they were able to have the same theme song. They use the same theme song. And that was like a struggle for them, like legally to get. And she was like, no, it has to be that.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
Does Gibby come back?
Also, yeah, Gibby is still there. I haven't seen him yet, but he's, you know, signed back on to do the show. Same
Why
with
was he
Freddie's mom.
shirtless constantly?
That was a child just shirtless on national TV. I don't know, man. Kind of embarrassing.
It's
A lot
like
of the
we're
show,
in.
yeah, a part of like what Jeanette McCurdy has said of the show is that she was on the show from the ages of 13 to 21. And by the time she was 15, she was like, the show is very cringy for me. And like as a teenager trying to like be cool and be into teenagery things, like her friends made fun of her. Like it's not cool to like do a kid's show when you're that like a teenager. So that was definitely like she wasn't enjoying herself making the show. The premise they have on the first episode, sort of setting up this new show, is that they haven't done the show in like 10 years, but Carly really wants to get back into it. So she has this boyfriend she's been seeing for a while, and she's like, I think we're gonna have dinner tonight. And I think he's gonna propose that we start an online channel together.
Oh.
Not marriage, but she's like expecting this commitment of like creatively to like do this thing together because she doesn't want to do the show alone, but she really wants to do it again. Like she's like itching to do something. Her career is really nowhere. And then he breaks up with her. So she's like, fuck, I gotta get my shit together.
The Legally Blonde moment.
Yeah. And then they go to this party. She's like, you know, kind of in her breakup blues. And they're like, no, you need to get back out there, like go to a party, have some fun. And so she goes to a party at Spencer's apartment because he's unveiling this new sculpture. And they're, you know, having a little cocktail hour. They drink alcohol in the show because they're adults now. And then she meets this new guy and she's like, great, he's cute, seems into me. I'm just going to insert him into my old plans and do a show with him instead. And then they finally go on like a first date and like she hates him. He's super weird, gargles like dairy, milk, cheese, backwash, weird stuff. And she's like, no, don't want to see him ever again. And basically, Freddie is like, you know what? I think you have it. I think you have what it takes to do the show on your own. I think you need to do it on your own. You don't need a sidekick. You can do it even though like Sam's not here and like no one wants to do it with you. So eventually they decide to reboot it and like do another like live stream show premiere thing. It's not totally clear yet if they're going to do like edited videos, but they start up the show again with Spencer sort of helping her out. But it's like her is just the only host and then Freddie behind the camera.
Do they use a camera this like do they need a camera?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they still do. But yeah, and so they show only like a little bit of the show because like most of the show is like behind the scenes personal stuff. It's not the actual comedy show. But they aged up the show, but they kept like the humor and the type of humor the same. So I don't know if they brought on like similar writers or the same people, but basically it's still not that funny. But it is like slightly like I as a 20 something year old, like I'm not gonna watch it for fun, but I'll watch it for like vibes. Yeah. Like if I'm feeling nostalgic and I want to like see who Freddie is up like with now, I'm like, you know, let's pop it on while I'm cooking dinner and stuff. Like it's like it has that same nostalgic tone, but yeah, it's not suddenly this like adult critically acclaimed show. Like they're still doing the same thing that they did before, where it's like this specific brand of humor and like, you know, just like a little bit more existential, basically. It's like a little bit darker, but like not that dark.
I think iCarly should win a Golden Globe.
Honestly, the way the Golden Globes are going, they might. I don't know what the deal is with Golden Globes. But also another thing I wanted to touch on is that it's brought up again a discourse among viewers about the race of some of the characters, because people for a while always thought that Miranda Cosgrove was half Asian. And I always thought she was half Asian as an actress, but like people cast family members that look different. So I was like, it's not that important to like look similar, because she like didn't look like Drake or her mom. And she also doesn't really look like Jerry Trainer, who's her brother, who plays Spencer. Um, but I was like, oh, like, she looks white enough. Maybe she just like passes as white. But turns out she's not half Asian. She's white. And what I found out is that whenever you think an actor is like distantly Asian or could be Asian, but is being cast as a white person, it's because they are white, and it's because they're mostly French. That a lot of French people can pass as distantly Asian because of their features. So same thing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. A lot of people have mistaken him for part Asian, and he's just French. And also, other actors that I can't think of right now that are listed online if you Google it. So, got a lot of examples here to prove my point. But yeah, so I have a few notes of like my reaction to the pilot episode. And actually before that. But a little fun fact about things behind the scenes is that one of my favorite comedians is Esther Pavitsky. She last year came out with a comedy special called Hot for My Name. And she's super funny. She has a podcast that used to be called Bloodbath, but now is called Trash Tuesdays, but it's on YouTube. It's very funny. Love her podcast. Love her as a comedian. And randomly, she's also on that Hulu show, Dollface. She's one of the friend characters. With Kat Dennings, who I love. But she's randomly an executive producer on the show, and she like posted about it on her Instagram. And she's like, hey guys, it's like one of those situations where I'm like randomly an executive producer on a TV show. So here I am, like having a picture with Miranda Cosgrove. And I think she also wrote on one of the episodes in the season. So interesting. Cool little fun fact if anybody else is a fan of Esther Pavitsky. I think the total episode count for the season of the reboot is 13. It could be 10, but I think it's 13. So they're keeping it short. They're not doing that like Nickelodeon 26 episodes per season kind of thing, No. But yeah, in terms of my reactions to the episodes, the humor is all right. But what I totally forgot was that it is a multicam show. It's like a classic Nickelodeon multicam show. So there's like a laugh track. There's only 3 walls of a set, that kind of deal. And so part of it was like, is this bad acting? Or is it just they're acting for multicam, and I haven't seen a multicam in like ages, so I forget like the tone and like the structure of those kind of shows. Like Friends is a multicam show. It used to be really popular back in the day, but there's literally no multicam shows on air right now because the Big Bang Theory ended and that was the last one. But so yeah, there was some like weird pacing issues with the line delivery and the like sort of acting, but I'm like, are they bad actors, or is it just a multicam show and I just don't like this style of TV show? We have yet to find out. But my main thing is, I think the actor who plays Freddie is balding, and I think they put him in a wig.
Yeah.
Because I saw this little like line of like that kind of like where the skin part of the wig blends into your real skin. I saw that in one of the scenes because the makeup it wasn't great. It had, faded. And so it already looked like he had a receding hairline. So I'm like, it has to be his real hair because it doesn't look good. Like who would make a wig that like looks like he's balding when it's a wig to cover up balding? But then I think, oh, maybe they just put the wig cap like too far back because he's got a forehead on him that I guess he grew into. But yeah, I don't know if it's actually a wig or if that's just like his hairline now, and just like his foundation was weird that day. But yeah, he's still like 5'5", hasn't really grown, but he has like a 5 o'clock shadow now. So he's like an adult. And I think they made him grow out the beard because he looks so similar that like he used to, that they're like, he has to look like he's an adult now. We need to like put him in a beard. But other than that, Carly has thicker eyebrows now. And then Jerry Trainer looks the same. He's like, not exactly the same. He's not in his 20s or however old he was, but he like doesn't look like I think he's in his 40s, and he doesn't look like he's in his 40s. He still looks like an older brother, whereas I think like he's old enough to like be like her dad if he was like a teen dad. But Yeah. Also fun fact, Jerry Trainer is actually Megan Trainor's son.
No?
I told that joke the other day and they're like, Silvana, that's not funny. It's so hilarious. Because I have the same last name, but he's older than Megan Trainor.
Like how you
Megan Trainor
explained
actually Megan Trainor actually did have a son recently though, with
it.
the son from Spy Kids. He's all grown up now.
Oh, what?
And he married Megan Trainor. Yeah. She did a
What?
lot of interviews about how good he is in bed. And now they, made a child. So good for them. They had a great time doing it.
Wait.
All happy days. They had a little pandemic baby. I think his name's Riley. A little ginger little boy. So cute. But are you looking it up on your cellular device?
Wait, I also have thoughts on what I remember from iCarly, but 1 second. There's much more.
Cool.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. He looks exactly the same as he did on Spy Kids.
Oh my
It's kind of crazy.
I had no idea. Did he ever do anything else?
No, that's also something with the iCarly reboot is that none of the actors really did anything after that. Nathan Kress didn't really do anything. He got married really young. I think he's super Christian. So he was just, living his life, made some money, and then, had a family. And then, which I hope he didn't get divorced in real life because that's Freddie's whole shtick is that he got divorced twice. And then Miranda Cosgrove didn't really do anything after that. She had like somewhat of a singing career. That didn't really go well. And then she went to USC, so she like did go to college and then hasn't really done anything after that. She goes more into life updates on actually she guest starred on the Whitney Cummings podcast and was interviewed there, and she gave a lot of life updates. She was like pretty badly stalked for a while, for a period there when she was younger, and this guy actually killed himself in front of her house while she wasn't there, and he had tried to kill her, but she just happened to not be there. I think she like watched the premiere of Pitch Perfect 3 or watched that movie in theaters, and because she saw that movie, she wasn't killed by this man who was like stalking her house for months. So very traumatic stuff, like intense stuff. But yeah, she didn't really do too much with her career. Jerry Trainer, as far as I knew, like he had a successful career already on Nickelodeon, made enough money, probably didn't really do much afterwards. So yeah, I feel like this new reboot is kind of just like everybody gets jobs again, which is kind of nice. And I think it's definitely like there's definitely a market for that kind of stuff now. But I don't know how much legs it has long term unless I don't know. There was definitely like a Sam and Freddie storyline and a Freddie and Carly storyline, I think, by the end of the original iCarly show. So maybe they'll tap back into that for some interest, but not a ton of plot going on.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like, I mean, I haven't seen it, but it kind of sounds like Friends. Like they're trying to do that thing where there's like the one apartment they all go to, and Freddie is like seems like Ross, and
right?
Like,
I thought that
so
too.
That's interesting.
So I feel like they're setting that up sort of like late 20s sort of time in your life, which is very Friends. And they definitely like have that angle with her. She's very like relatable, where she leaves a party early, and she like loves SVU and like that sort of thing. And her humor is kind of like a bit sarcastic too. But yeah, they kind of joke about her being like a retired social media star. But they're definitely like framing her as that like relatable millennial of like her love life, her career is like not really where she wants it to be, and she's like late 20s struggling in all areas of her life, which is very like Friends late 20s kind of premise. So I feel like they're going for that, which I also like. I relate to that. My life and career aren't where I want them to be. I can vibe. But like I like leaving parties early. But yeah.
I wrote down the top 5 things I remember / the only 5 things I remember.
Oh, I love it.
There's that one point where Spencer is always like bringing like weird things into the apartment, and he has the ostrich, and Carly's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a smoothie." And he's like holding a smoothie when obviously she's talking about the ostrich. I remember that very clearly. I remember the spaghetti tacos really
Oh, I
clearly.
remember that. Spaghetti is like a big thing in that show, I think.
Yeah. And then there's that one point when Carly, I think, is dating that one guy, and then he has like a Beanie
Mm.
Baby collection.
Oh yeah.
Remember that part? And then I remember the Neville is it Neville Papperman or something? When
Yeah,
I still say, like, "You
that
will
crazy
rue this
guy.
day. You will rue it."
Yeah. I know that a roux also means like a base for a sauce because they talk about that in the episode where they were like, what does a roux mean? And they Google it.
Yeah. And then I
So
remember
I
the
always
Fred
remember.
Figglehorn
Yeah.
episode
But
really
I also
well.
like that's how I learned that like if you mix, like butter and flour and some milk in a saucepan, that's the basis of a sauce for any pasta that you could make. Like I'm making ravioli tonight and I'll probably make a roux. Thanks, iCarly.
You should put it in a taco shell.
I should. It's like butterscotch ravioli, so I won't, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, another thing about the show is that they definitely like I feel like Nickelodeon and kid shows are very like they try to be relatively apolitical. They're like, they're still accepting about most things. Like they want to be their political stance is like be nice to people. But they definitely code the new show as very progressive. Like they her like best friend roommate character is bi and talks about dating non-binary people. And they make sort of like low-key political like side-eye statements. So they're definitely characterizing themselves as progressive. They're very like, hey, we're in Trump's America now. We love everybody. Like, we're not Republicans here,
Yeah.
which is nice because I also feel like sort of like aging it up and sort of putting it in today's context, you do have to like be a little bit more political, especially when
Mhm.
you're talking about social media, because social media has become way more political now that it's nice that they're not like shying away from that. But it's also like, are you just coding your show as that so that like you can fit in with like the millennial Gen Z crowd of like, we're all liberals, like as young people. So it's like, is it like signaling or is it just like they're doing their due diligence? It's like hard to tell because I haven't seen, there are 3 episodes out right now and they're sort of releasing them slowly, but I've only seen the first one. So hopefully, I think it gets funnier. Pilot episodes are usually the worst and it like
Mhm.
gets better once the premise is established. But I don't know. I got the free trial of Paramount Plus and I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. Are there any good shows on Paramount Plus that you've heard of? No.
No.
Is something I feel like there was like a movie or another TV show that launched Paramount Plus, like they launched the streaming service with the premiere of something, and I can't remember what
Well, I
it
think
was.
all you need is you need Netflix because that's where you get What's New Scooby Doo and Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, and then you need HBO Max because that's where you get Powerpuff Girls.
I love HBO Max content, and it upsets me deeply that it's so expensive, but also their interface is terrible.
Oh,
Like,
it is. Yeah.
I hate it so much. I filled out a survey. Did you hear me burp just then?
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll keep it in. But I filled out a survey after the uh, free trial ended, like back in October when I had it. Um, and they were like, because basically I filled it out because there was like a raffle for a $500 like Visa gift card. So I was like, I want money. But they had a section where they were like, how do you rate our interface? Like, do you have any comments? And I was like, this is shit. This is so expensive for such a shit service. I just love your content. Like, but also I was like, your content is like super progressive and like people of color and like marginalized communities love your content. Why are you charging us way more than all the mainstream content
Yeah.
streaming services? Like, come on, dude. But like if you're gonna be liberal,
Go all out.
fight capitalism. But I mean, it's a corporation, they're not gonna fight capitalism. But yeah, so those are basically all my notes about the new reboot. It's like I give it like three out of 5 stars. It's pretty good. It's a good time. Um, but it's definitely, yeah, it's like if you liked iCarly, you'll like the reboot a lot, you know. But
Yeah.
if you were lukewarm towards iCarly, you'll be lukewarm towards the reboot. But yeah, I think they did all the things they needed to do to have a successful reboot. Like
Mhm.
they made it with like good people behind the scenes and they like brought back a ton of the same cast and they sort of like the new storylines are very faithful to the characters. They didn't make any sort of drastic Rory Gilmore-esque kind of plot twists about where these characters ended up, which is nice. So it's cool because I feel like I've seen a lot of reboots kind of have those same pitfalls and like not be successful because of those mistakes. So if this reboot isn't successful, I think it won't be successful because it's true to its show. Like it's because that humor is not that funny and it never
I
really
feel
was
like
that funny.
it wouldn't be successful because it's on Paramount Plus.
That too. Is it the most successful streaming service? Who's to say? But yeah, I feel like with Lizzie McGuire, that reboot I would have been super excited for because I love Lizzie and I love Lizzie a lot more than Carly because like fuck Carly. I liked Sam way more. She's fine. I like Carly way better in the reboot. But
would you have liked it better if it was I Sam?
Maybe, but also Sam could be cringy too. The whole show is cringy.
Yeah.
The only time I like
Hi, Freddie.
I stopped watching it. I stopped watching it a little bit and then I tuned back in because they started promoting this huge like Sam and Freddie love storyline and I was like that would be amazing. And then they got together, but then they made them break up and then Freddie started dating Carly, I think. Yeah, and that was just really upsetting. So I hope they fix that. But I liked Sam and Freddie together, but who's to say? But with Lizzie McGuire, I feel like they sort of worked with a lot of people behind the scenes that weren't great for the show. And they had trouble getting a lot of the cast members back. And so, and like Lizzie had to fight, or Hilary Duff had to fight Lizzie's best friend, what was his name, Gordo, to be in the show because the actor was still available, but they were like, we don't want him. But Hilary Duff was like, no, I need him to do the show. So she was constantly fighting with, I feel like, a lot of the execs. And then they like sort of sold it to Hulu at one point, I think, but then COVID happened. So it's definitely like on the back burner for now. No one's trying to make it happen as of right now. But I feel like because iCarly was able, like they ditched Dan Schneider and they like worked with some really cool people. Yeah. Miranda's executive producing it. They worked with Esther Pavitsky, who's like a current hip, cool comedian that I like. So I feel like they have a lot of good things going for them. Whereas I feel like Lizzie sort of crashed and burned because they like didn't have a solid team behind them. So yeah. You live and you learn.
It's not the worst remake.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely like, I don't know, because I feel like with Lizzie McGuire, the acting was bad, but in like a really endearing way. Whereas with iCarly, the acting is bad, but in a like tonally confusing way, you know? But also I'm like not telling them they're bad at their jobs because I can't judge multicam because it's just not my thing, you know? But it's enjoyable.
Did you watch
I appreciate Carly like filling in her eyebrows. Very nice. Yeah. Good job. Whoever her makeup artist is, 10 out of 10. Good job. I also loved her episode on Whitney's podcast. So I do like Carly a lot more now because I think I like Miranda a lot more now. But yeah, also she's just French. I found pictures of her on Tumblr as a baby. Adorable child. But I feel like she was like cuter as a kid. They all kind of look the same. They all, you know, relatively, they're not ancient old people like the Friends cast that are all in their 60s. Yeah. But
I think with like iCarly, except for like Dan Schneider, I don't think anyone else was super problematic. And maybe that's just because they didn't do anything else. Yeah. But like Zoe 101, a bunch of them were problematic. Wow. Fuller House was the other big reboot. A bunch of them were problematic.
Yeah. And I feel like they also like all the characters that didn't come back. It was like a scandalous reason, or, you know, the cast members weren't completely all on good terms. Whereas I feel like everybody here was like, they all loved each other. With Sam, it was kind of like, it was what's best for her to not be a part of it. And they handled it pretty well. It seemed very natural that Sam would still be, you know, exploring the world with a motorcycle gang, you know? Yeah. True to character. So
because Fuller House, they like basically just shamed Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen for not coming back.
And like, I feel like it was a really traumatic experience for them, and like they were too young to remember the good parts.
Was like apparently a creep.
Yeah, and then Dave Coulier is also a terrible. Yeah. Also, I feel like a lot of the cast members on that show like did go through like a really rough time, like in the 80s and 90s being on that show. But yeah, it's tricky business rebooting nostalgic things because part of like what makes media good is like having it be a reflection of the times and like having stuff be progressive. So it's like looking back at old things, like you wouldn't think it would fit naturally in today's pop culture media landscape. So it is interesting to see different teams and different people try and like convert these old stories into like modern ones.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not.
But what I think will be successful, and for some reason that like the cast has said that Nickelodeon has said no and they're like having trouble getting it going, but Ned's Declassified, if there was a reboot like helping you get through like adult problems, that would be so
needed. It would be such a good show, but and the actors are still like all buds and friends with each other. There was a TikTok, I don't know if I sent it to you or you sent it to me or if I didn't send it to you, but where the actors on TikTok have a phone call where they're like, they're like, Lindsay Shaw, like everybody wants us to reboot the show. And then she's like, Devin, whatever his last name is, like, but we don't know what we're doing. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. So we can't make the show.
Well, there was also like,
I feel like Lindsay Shaw had like a relatively successful acting career afterwards.
Yeah, Pretty Little Liars.
But and then, he like tried to be an indie musician and like wasn't really successful. He has a beard. He's like a brunette guy in the indie music scene. Like, what is he offering, you know?
The girl that Ned had a crush on, wasn't she in like the Selena series?
Oh my god. Okay, so this bitch, she was in Twilight, did not notice. She was like Angela in Twilight, and now she plays Selena on Selena, the Netflix TV show. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize her at all. I also didn't read that she was Hispanic, but that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But very interesting. She's doing a great job on Selena. I did not know she could sing. I don't know if she's actually singing on the show, if they got like a voice double, but good for her. She's out there doing the thing. Hispanic representation. I love Selena, the singer. And then the good one, not Selena Gomez. But shots fired. Who was named after Selena the singer. So, but yeah, crazy stuff. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, next subject. Woo! All right, moving on. Anyways, so we usually do like trauma versus nostalgia, or the Gen Z versus millennial guessing game. But I thought it'd be fun to switch it up a bit. But basically, I'm going to quiz you on the top singles, the top Billboard Hot 100 singles, the most popular song of each year, starting from 97 to 2005. Because I feel like that's like the Zillennial era of like being born. But yeah, so I don't know how much you know about the music industry from back then. I don't know how much the listeners know about the music industry from back then, but I have vivid memories of like listening to the radio all the time as a kid. So whenever I hear music, like popular music from that era, I get very nostalgic about like riding in the back of my parents' car and stuff as a kid. So I think you'll recognize some of these songs. Not all of these songs are the top song, because sometimes some of them I didn't recognize. So I pulled other songs that were like in the top 10 that I thought you might know, or that we could reminisce. So I will give you clues.
Okay, good.
You won't just have to guess by the year, but I think it'd be interesting to like be like, oh yeah, that's where America's head was at in terms of music back in the day when I was born. So I'm going to set the scene for you for each single, and then you're going to guess. Okay. I'll give you clues, and I think you'll be successful. Anyways,
I'm really nervous.
dun dun dun. The year is 1997.
Ooh, it just popped out.
2 years after your gorgeous host Silvana Smith was born, tragedy
2
strikes.
years?
2 months. 2 months after Silvana is born, tragedy strikes off the coast of Greece. The entire world is devastated.
Wait, so this is before my birthday? Oh, okay.
Mainly the UK.
Okay, I'm with you.
Shut up. I wanted to get through the whole, but you guessed it. Anyways, yeah, America and the UK Commonwealth are grieving.
Wait, I think
everyone is devastated.
One.
Princess Diana has died. In response, the music industry, you know, everyone is trying to like she knows that everyone is trying to express how much they love her and how much they're sad through music. And this one artist who was beloved and loved Princess Diana reworked a song of his to sing at her national funeral. What song and artist made the most popular song from 1997? Go.
I've hyped it up so much that if I get it wrong, it would be so embarrassing.
It's so funny.
I'm thinking Elton John, Candle in the Wind.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes. I first heard this song on the TV show Parks and Rec for Lil Sebastian's funeral, which I didn't know was a reference to Princess Diana's funeral. But yeah, Candle in the Wind was written by Elton John, and he made a new version that he performed in 1997 for her funeral. And it was the number one song of that year because people loved Princess Diana so much that it was the number one song in America. Oh, wow. So
I remember we had to listen to it like every single year in creative writing class.
Really? Yeah, I don't remember ever listening to the song except for in Parks and Rec.
Oh, sorry. Did you want me to answer in Jeopardy form?
I had no idea. Candle in the Wind. I'm just vibing. I'm just going with the flow, man. You just call out when you know it. But that one had a big build up. The rest won't be like that. But okay.
I got so excited because I didn't think I would do well. And I probably won't for the rest of it.
You might. I feel like I picked songs that I recognized and that you might. I don't know. Okay, so the year's 1998. Marriya has since been born.
Popped out.
Beautiful baby. Should have been a child star. Wasted potential. We're all devastated. The year's 1998. The world is taken by storm. The TV industry is taken by storm by this new teen fuck. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It just popped up that my internet connection was unstable, but I'm unstable. Anyways, the TV industry is taken by storm by this new pop teenage soap opera about a man and his friends in this little town near Creek. And that man's name was Dawson, starring what's his face? That guy from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. He had a very funny last name and he went on to Dancing with the Stars, I think. I don't know. He played Dawson. Anyways, the theme song of that show that played during the opening credits became very popular. I don't actually know when Dawson's Creek was on, but this is the year 1998. And this song is the theme song to that show with Michelle Williams and what's her face that was on Freaks and Geeks? Oh my God. Busy Phillips. Michelle Williams, Busy Phillips, Katie Holmes, that other guy, and Dawson. What was the theme song of the show? The artist was Paula Cole because she's not important. But do you know the name of this song? It's right there in the chorus.
What is?
Do you know the theme song to Dawson's
theme song?
If I sing it, that's the words.
What is the Dawson's Creek theme song?
It's the.
There we go. Did I get it?
It's 4 words, and it's ba-da-da-da-da for our lives to be over. That's the line of the chorus.
Why am I thinking like I can't wait?
It's close. That's very close. Da-da-da-da-da for our lives to be over.
I have no idea.
I blank blank wait for our lives to be over.
Cannot.
No, it's a compound word. There's an apostrophe T at the end.
What? I can't wait. I couldn't.
I blank
Don't
wanna wait.
Wouldn't. Willn't.
I can't tell if you said it already or not. I
said willn't.
Wanna wait. I willn't want to wait. So I
won't want to wait?
Yeah, there you go.
First try.
I don't want to wait.
Oh.
It was really bad. I don't sing like that usually. I'm so sorry. I'm so sweaty in my apartment right now. I'm not red because I'm embarrassed. I'm red because I'm sweating. Anyways.
So I
Moving
nailed that
on.
one.
The year is 1999. The millennia is coming to a close. The world is taken, captivated by this, number. They're very excited. They're going to party. It's not that song they were thinking of right now, though. But this one artist has had a number one hit in every single decade since the 1960s, I believe. She is so old now, but she looks so good for her age. She used to be married to a guy named Sonny, and she starred in the recent Mamma Mia sequel, Here We Go Again. What was her hit number one single of the year 1999?
Okay, is it Cher?
It is Cher.
Cher with the song. Cher's song.
What song was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember much from it.
This song has been on the radio constantly since then. I guarantee you've heard it on 107.3 radio station.
Cher. I can't think of a title.
Okay. I'm going to blank out the name of the title.
God, we did really well at this last time. Okay. Willant.
Do you blank in life after love?
Do you believe in life after?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. It's Believe by Cher. Number one hit single. Do you believe in life after love? Do you, Marriya? I don't know if I do.
I have to find love
she
for her.
Divorced her husband and she, had a life after her love. Beautiful sentiment. Very hip in the gay clubs, that song. Anyways, the year is 2000. New millennia. Emo music is doing great. Blink 182 doing great. This song, I don't think you'll get it.
I haven't gotten most of them. Oh, I started so strong with Elton John.
You did. Anyways, also this whole my internet connection. I'm gonna hate editing this episode, but it's gonna be great. So my mom loves Rob Thomas and his band Matchbox 20. And my parents also really loved the guitarist Santana, who guested on a lot of singles in the 2000s because he had mad guitar skills, would have guitar solos in many, popular songs of the day. But this particular collaboration between Rob Thomas, who had a solo career besides Matchbox 20, was very successful. Rob Thomas and Santana, their collaboration made it to number 2 on the charts of the year-end Billboard Hot 100. That song was what song?
Matchbox 21.
Matchbox 20, not 21.
Well, that's why they made it different.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna give you a clue.
Okay.
It's a very sexual song. So I was listening to the radio as a kid, thinking, "Wow, people are just openly sexual in music. Crazy." It's a texture. Think of a pretty lady that a man would sing about in the year 2000s. How would he describe her texture-wise? Close. Suavemente was also a very good song from the past, but it's not that song. But it's not soft. What texture is it?
Hard.
No, it's not a penis, Marriya. It's a pretty
fuzzy,
lady, and
silky,
a man brushes her arm.
Silky.
No, seductively. How does she feel to him when they are
smooth?
In a sexual position? Yes, it's Smooth. Number 2 single of the year 2000, Smooth by Santana and Rob Thomas.
Oh my God, I nailed it.
You did. First try. Amazing.
Smooth criminal.
But I feel like if I played a clip for you, like you wouldn't recognize the lyrics, but you'd recognize the song because it was on the radio all the time. But 2001, again, the world struck by tragedy. Has nothing to do with this single, but the band Lighthouse was super popular at the time. And so their hit single of 2001, You're Never Gonna Get It, it's Hanging by a Moment. That was the number 1 single of 2001. So you have all these, varied genres, and then alternative rock right up there at number 1. We love the genre. I miss it. I miss alt rock being in the number 1 spot for Billboard Hot 100 year-end list. Anyways, another alternative rock band had the number 1 single. I think it was number 1 single. Yeah, of 2002. Followed by Alicia Keys in number 2 place. But the number 1 place with the song How You Remind Me was filled by this controversial band. What band was that? Very controversial. Everybody makes fun of this band. People make jokes about this band in terms of 50 Cent. What band is this? It is Nickelback. It is Nickelback. Everybody's least favorite band had the number 1 single in 2002 with How You Remind Me. Huh. They were big back in the day, and then everybody just started hating them, and I don't know why. But I remember my babysitter at the time in the early 2000s liked Nickelback a lot, and she was like, I don't know why people hate them. They just came out with their new album. But the year is 2003. This number 4 spot single on the Billboard's Hot 100 year-end list was taken up by this iconic single by which 2 lovers in the music industry that are still together 18 years later. I did the math. It took me a second. 18 years later, they're still together. They had some troubles, but they've been lovers ever since 2003. What couple am I talking about?
Is it like Beyonce and Jay-Z?
It is. What was their song, their big hit that they did together? What was it called?
It's not Single Ladies.
No, that was 2008.
It's not Drunk in Love. I feel like that's later, right?
In Love. Drunk in Love was about 10 years later, but it isn't In Love, but they're not drunk. They're
sober.
No. They're not
mad,
level-headed. They're
mad, emotional.
They're not mad.
Angry.
They're in a mad house, maybe. They're maybe in a mental institution.
Crazy.
But they're crazy. They're Crazy in Love by Beyonce and Jay-Z. Good job. First try. 10 out of 10. Anyways, we're almost to the end.
I did really well on Elton John. I just want to remind everyone.
I knew you would get that one, and the others, I was like, oh no. 2004, second to last song. On their number 8 spot, this song was performed at the Kids' Choice Awards in 2004, and was later an acoustic rendition of the song was performed on the TV show Scrubs by that bald lawyer. What song am I talking about?
I don't watch Scrubs.
You don't watch Scrubs? Okay, everybody needs to watch Scrubs. I love Scrubs. They also went to William and Mary in that show, so they're basically us. Oh fuck! Are we supposed to say our college? I'll bleep it. Maybe
we had a whole Williamsburg episode.
No, I'll keep it in.
Okay. What song would they have sung on Scrubs?
Yeah. They also, the band who wrote this song or performed this song also performed it at the Kids' Choice Award in 2004. And I saw that performance live. I remember it vividly.
Black Eyed Peas?
No. But close. They're a band that has like alt hip hop pop music. Not Maroon 5. Fuck Maroon 5. I think they were actually on the top list of 2004, but I didn't choose their single because I hate Maroon 5. This was number 8.
Green Day?
No, but they wore green in the music video.
They had slime.
But you were on the right track with Black Eyed Peas. They are like an alt hip hop pop band. Conglomerate group.
Oh. No.
You've heard the song. I know you've heard this
song. Nickelback.
It's not Nickelback.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a clue.
Okay.
I feel like once I tell you, you'll know though. The band is Outkast.
Yeah.
Do you not know?
Outkast live performance at the Kids' Choice Awards. Final answer.
What's the name of the song they performed?
I don't remember.
Okay. It's an expression that is used in a lot of songs.
Oh,
it's 2 words. Starts with an H, starts with a Y.
Hey you. Hey yeah. There we go. I recognized it as soon as I said hey you.
You said hey you. Oh my god, Mari, you suck.
And then it dawned on me.
Oh my god, I promise you every Zillennial child in America would have gotten that, but you didn't.
Well, I can recognize it when I hear the music. I don't know song names.
But Outcast, come on. Also, you need to watch Scrubs. Scrubs is a great TV show. Last and final single is 2005. This is number 2 single. Also, this was the year that Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson reached number 4.
Well, I would have known that Kelly. One. You should have gone with that one.
Fuck, you're so right. Anyways, the song is We Belong Together. Not the Taylor Swift song, but this was also a very influential pop star of the early 2000s. She is still beloved to this day. She still performs, but she doesn't release music. This singer is known to be a diva, and she sort of owns that identity. But the thing about her is that she has terrible memory. So when she gets interviewed about other artists in the music industry, they're like, "Oh, what's your opinion on Ariana Grande or Madonna or Hayley Williams? All these great singers. What's your opinion of them?" And she just goes, "I don't know her," because she has terrible memory, and it's really an issue for her, and she struggles every day. What pop star released the song "We Belong Together" that made it to number 1 in 2005?
Is it Mariah Carey?
It is Mariah Carey. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I am Mariah, so that's the one.
Oh my God, you are Mariah. That is your namesake. Spelled the same way, pronounced the same way.
When she got the lyrics to the Christmas song wrong, she brought us all down. Fuck she Mariah got the lyrics wrong?
Oh my God. Anyways, that was a roller coaster of emotion. You did do really well. You got all of them on the first try. It's kind of insane. You know.
Do I win something? Do I go home with
you win something? Yeah. The notoriety of winning this contest on our, widely renowned podcast.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Worth a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
I pay big bucks to be on here, so to have Marriya let me be on this podcast. Anyways, do you want to close out this episode with a round of Mad Libs?
Yeah, I picked Diva Girl.
Ooh.
Carly is a diva in her own right. Okay.
Yeah. I guess you're kind of a diva too. The second coming of Mariah Carey.
Okay, can you give me an adjective?
Ooh, green.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna do an adjective.
Also, RIP my internet connection. I hate when that happens. Anyways.
Smart. Can you give me a plural noun?
Glasses.
I'm gonna do a noun. I'm gonna say music because I know it really well. Can you give me a liquid?
You're an expert.
Yeah.
Liquid nitrogen. Is that a liquid or is it gas?
I don't know. Liquid. Just go with it. And then I have an adjective. I'm gonna say smelly. Can you give me an adjective?
Atrocious.
And then plural noun, I'm gonna say slime. Would it be slimes? Slime, right? Slime is plural. Slime.
Slimes. One slime, 2 slimes. That's how they say it on the kids' first word.
Can you give me an adjective?
Adjective. Plump.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna give a type of food. Graham crackers. Can you give me a type of food?
Ooh, baklava.
Ooh.
I love phyllo dough.
And then I have to do type of container, Tupperware. Can you give me an adjective?
Bubbly.
And then I have a noun. I say snowman. Can you give me a verb ending in S?
Ending in S?
Mm-hmm.
Speeds.
Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Do it herself. Here are some green projects that you can do. Flower power. Take a smart container and fill it with some glasses. Then plant the seeds of your favorite music. Water them with liquid nitrogen. And in no time, you'll have a smelly garden. Ha ha ha. Picture that. Take a plain, atrocious picture frame and decorate it with lots of slimes. Slimes. Then put a picture of your best buds in it and give it as a gift. On the road trail mix. Why bother buying trail mix for those long rides in the car? It's just as easy to make your own. Take some plump cereal and mix it with some graham crackers and baklava in a big Tupperware. It's
That sounds so
bubbly.
good.
It does sound good. So just remember what every diva snowman knows. When she wants something done, she speeds it herself.
Ooh. Oh my God. Amazing. 10 out of 10. I feel like we just wrote Mariah Carey's biography.
Yeah, we're the
Not bibliography.
ghostwriters.
Right? Oh my God. We're so
Imagine if
ghosty
you
and
were
we
the
write so much.
ghostwriter and like you just left blanks for the person who's like it's supposed to be by for as a
And
Mad
that's their
Lib.
contribution.
Like
I
if
love
Donald
that.
Trump's book they did
Oh
that.
my God. Yeah.
The art
Cool.
of the snowman.
Amazing. Oh my God. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed our conversations today.
What
I feel like
was
it's
this?
been somewhat erratic. I don't know.
I also don't know how long this was.
It's super fucking long. I'm gonna hate editing this because also there's so many disruptions. My like laptop needed charging. Anyways, you want to tell them our socials, Marya?
Sure. You can find us via email if you want to give us a word for our Mad Libs.
Or if you want to give us a review and tell us
Yeah.
that you like us or that you hate us, just
At
send us an email. Don't post it publicly. Just tell us privately.
at zillennialpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube as Zillennial Support
Support
Group
group.
Podcast, I think. On Twitter as ZSG Podcast and on Instagram as Zillennial Podcast, I think. Or is it
No, I think it's Zillennial.
Wait, I'm gonna
I
check.
don't know. You've listed them off in every other episode lately.
I know, but we took off a week.
If you go to our YouTube, it's listed in the
Zillennial
description.
Support Group on
Zillennial
Instagram.
Support Group. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Zillennial Podcast is just our email. I do know that. But yeah. Whew. Life, man. I'm ready to open my window back up again and feel the wind on my face.
Yay.
Maybe put my hair up. And then I get to chop onions now and make myself dinner. I'm so excited.
Ooh.
And then I'll edit this podcast.
Yay.
Anyways, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my God.